Hi, I'm Eva from China. Welcome to my channel, China Untold. It's been a hectic week, isn't it? Elon Musk made headlines again by shutting down the United States Agency for International Development called USAID. Well, I'm not sure these and other radical moves of Musk and Trump will be successful in making America great again, but what I do know is that China will benefit from this. Soon after the decision to shut down USAID, several Chinese media outlets reported an unexpected change in the BBC and some other Western media. There seems to be a drastic shift in their stance on China, from consistently criticizing to lavishly praising it. The media believe this change was triggered by the shutdown of USAID. It's interesting and does make sense if you hear me out. Shutting down USAID not only resulted in the termination of over 10,000 employees worldwide, but it also slashed an annual budget exceeding $50 billion. According to data reviewed by Musk, the hefty budget primarily funded various initiatives such as public relation campaigns, controversial projects, and numerous Western media outlets. Financial records show payments made to the New York Times with article fees ranging from $70,000 to $1 million per piece. The most expensive article on record was paid to the Associated Press $19.5 million for just one article. Even the BBC, long touted for its independence and objectivity, received tens of millions of dollars annually from USAID. So why pay the media to praise the US and criticize China? Probably, at least in the eyes of many Chinese people, most Western media have consistently focused on China's negative aspects, regardless of the country's significant progress. It is widely believed in China that the BBC has always used negative filters when reporting on China, selectively highlighting flaws and controversies. The Chinese government has even publicly blacklisted the BBC, something it is reluctant to do as it wants to project an open and welcoming image internationally. But does undermining China really benefit the US? The actual value of undermining adversaries is debatable. After all, it doesn't make one stronger, and it's impossible to assess the true value of these expenditures since there were no clear benchmarks. Now, with the USAID's money gone, although losing tens of millions of dollars might not be devastating for the BBC, losing such a stable, long-term financial source is something no organization can simply overlook. The evidence is in the latest documentary released by the BBC, Made in China 2025. The tone of the documentary was striking, filled with praise for China. It focused solely on China's technological advancements in drones, electric vehicles like BYD and CATL, and the solar energy sector, without mentioning any shortcomings. The single reference to China's chip manufacturing limitations was downplayed, attributed solely to US-led global sanctions. The documentary even showcased stunning views of major Chinese cities: Chongqing, Hangzhou, Shanghai, Beijing. The concluding remarks credited China's technological breakthroughs to government patience and long-term planning, suggesting that China's system itself was key to its success. Just a month ago, the BBC's articles were implying that China's economy was on the brink of collapse, with no space for growth, etc. There is an old Chinese fable. It tells of an old man who wanted peace and quiet, but the children in his neighborhood were too noisy. So he paid them to play near his home. The children were happy to comply, but after a while, the man suddenly stopped paying them. The children got upset and stopped coming to play. This fable can explain the sudden change in the BBC and other Western media's attitudes towards China. Many people commented below the documentary in the Chinese version of BBC, criticizing the BBC for being bought. But ironically, those in China believe the truth is the opposite. The change occurred precisely because the BBC no longer received USAID funds. In the future, we might see more Western media start publishing more favorable content about China, not out of newfound respect, but as a protest or strategic move to pressure the US into resuming funding. Moreover, many so-called non-profits and independent organizations focusing on China-related issues like human rights are heavily reliant on USAID's financial support. Once this funding dries up, these organizations will likely cease to exist, which is exactly what the Chinese government wants. Shutting down USAID is just one part of Musk and Trump's radical moves. The question remains, can they succeed? First of all, I don't take a political stance. I prefer to view things from a business or management perspective. If you treat a country like a company, I do believe the reforms could lead to positive change. After all, who doesn't need reforms, especially systems that have lasted for a long time? If someone could force a company to confront and heal its deep issues, that company will inevitably become stronger, but the process would be extremely painful, and it could take years or even generations to achieve. While Elon Musk even released a video online implying there could be fatal personal consequences, such profound reforms will undoubtedly bring turmoil. The success rate is actually not high. However, the whole situation benefits China. First, the turmoil gives China more time to breathe and grow. If the reforms fail, China will have a stronger stance in the world. If they succeed, some people might think a revitalized US might pose a greater threat to China, but I doubt it. China's growth strategy has always focused on internal development, trying to avoid getting too involved in external politics. Even if the US revitalizes itself from the successful reforms, the gap between the two nations will never return to what it was 40 years ago. In fact, a successful reform in the US might even encourage China to follow suit. Despite being rivals, the Chinese government has always looked up to the US and has never stopped learning from its system, either openly or secretly.